everybody.
Sean and Kelly here, Price and Price Group of Samson Properties. And what are we talking about, Kelly?
Today, right now, in this moment, we're talking about the market snapshot.
Yes, you got it.
It's what's been going on in the Northern Virginia real estate market in the last 7 days.
And hopefully under 5 minutes.
Yep. We'll make it under 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it's
maybe.
really boring.
Here we go. All right, so we are diving into the last 7 days of the Northern Virginia market, as Kelly said. And again, just a quick rundown for those of you that are new. We are looking at lead measures, so this gives you an idea of what is happening in real time. So this is the last 7 days of properties that have gone under contract and new properties that have come on the market. So it gives us a comparison so we can let you know what to expect in the market.
That's right. So your top graph there, the black squiggly line, that's
Yes.
the buyer activity. That's how many homes have gone under contract. And then the teal line, that's the seller activity. That's how many new homes have come on the market.
That's right. So as we saw last week, with the spring break weekend and the Easter holiday, we had a huge drop in buyer activity. And we had a steady increase. We continued increase in inventory. So last week we got down to, if you look down here, almost into a normal market.
Yeah.
But this week the buyers rebounded and they shot up huge. So
they're like, not so fast.
We're not done. But the sellers also jumped up.
Yeah.
So where are we compared to last year? So last year inventory is here right now. If you go across, inventory was down here. So we've got more inventory, which is actually quite good. And then buyer activity at this point is here, and last year it was down here. So overall, the market is actually much more active buy side and sell side this year than it was last year.
They don't tell you that on the news now, do they?
They don't, absolutely not. And you can see we are also trending in a very strong upward pattern, both inventory and buyer activity. So if you go down to this market, or this graph down here, this just takes this and puts it into a representation so you can understand how strong the seller's market is. So this neutral line is what?
That is the normal market, very equal, not buyer's market, not seller's market.
That's right, that's a good, healthy market. Anything above that's going to be considered sellers, anything below is going to be a buyer's, and we have been hovering in a pretty strong seller's market. We dipped down because of this dip in buyer activity, and now we're back up. So if inventory can keep up with buyer demand, then we'll stay in a fairly healthy market. But if that buyer demand keeps on outpacing inventory, we're going to get back into that strong seller's market again.
Yeah.
So
we don't want that.
So what does this mean in the real world for buyers and sellers? So let's look at what contracts are looking like. So this is the contract trends for the last 7 days, April 7th through April 13th. And this is from Cardinal Title. They had 212 contracts come in. So that's a large sampling, gives us an idea. Yeah. You can see that contract price, 45% of properties went above listing price, 35% went at listing price, and 20% went below. So 80% of the properties went at or above listing price in the last 7 days.
I want to talk about that for a second.
Let's do it.
I'm actually very surprised to see the 20% lower. And the reason I'm surprised is I feel like I'm seeing more agents list properties initially under the expected sales price. So I'm not surprised to see higher than list price because they're intentionally listing it lower.
Yeah. What
do you think is the 20% is?
I think those are, excuse me, stubborn sellers, but I think those are stubborn sellers.
We got one of those.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're just not going to bring it down.
Okay, they still have the pandemic mindset of.
Well, they have the pre-pandemic mindset of where you have to bid, you have to price high because they're expecting a negotiating.
Okay.
Or the pandemic mindset of I can just put it on there and just sell it.
And okay.
Yeah, so it's one of those two things.
Okay.
So what is
but
that?
I am right about that. I mean,
Yeah.
that is kind of a newer strategy we're seeing.
Well, it is.
That I would want people to be aware of. So, if I'm right, correct me or say yes first.
No, it is. It is correct, and I think the reason why is because we just came out of a winter that was not very aggressive. So sellers actually got a little more realistic. So there are more sellers that actually will follow that advice versus before.
Okay, so buyer, if you're a seller, don't be surprised that you're going to get that advice and it pans out.
Yeah.
We give that advice.
Yeah. We just had a property going to contract in 1.5 days for 11% higher than asking price.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a great strategy.
It was a condo. Yeah.
But if you're a buyer, settle down. Don't think that every listing is listed for the price they expect to get it.
That's
at.
a really good
That's what
point.
I want. That's kind of, if I'm That's what I wanted to say.
That's a really good point, and that's if a selling agent is using that strategy, they have to communicate to the buyer's agents and any buyers they talk to that this is where we are because this is where the buyer's pool is, but this is what the seller expects.
And your agent, your buyer's agent, needs to really know their market so that when they're taking you to show you properties, let's say your budget is $600,000 and they're taking you to see one that's $575 and you're thinking this is great. They need to tell you, hey, look, this is likely going to be
like 625.
So, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that's right.
We may need to let this go through the first weekend.
Yeah.
Before I take you to see this, because you do not want to get your hopes up for something that is like out of reach. That's a sad thing.
And that's a really good point, because then if you go down here to days, if you go down here to days on market. Now again, these were all Virginia specific numbers
That we're talking about. That's our main area.
Yeah. But if you go to Virginia specific, you can see that 85% of properties sold in 21 days or less. Only 15% went over 22 days. 15% went over 22 days. 20% went under asking price.
Yeah. Okay.
So this just shows that buyer's agent really has to have an understanding of the market and what's going on with that, so then they can tell the situation for each individual property. 86% cash, or finance, 14% cash. Money's money, that doesn't really matter. Cash buyers, if you think you can come in with a discount because you're a cash buyer, it really doesn't do you that much good unless all of the other terms are beneficial and you don't have somebody else offering those same terms at a higher price.
That's exactly right.
Yep. Okay, so whoops, wrong one.
That reminds me of our cash isn't always king.
That's right.
Video.
That's right. Okay, so finance contingencies. Buyers are still getting contingencies. 67% got their finance contingencies, 60% got their appraisal contingencies, so that's good. Even the majority is still getting inspections, 64%. So 36% did not, and we're seeing this number starting to increase more towards the no. But I'm surprised.
It doesn't mean your agent can't get you a pre-offer inspection.
That's right, absolutely. I would venture to say that at least 80 to 85% of these people are fully protected. They get a pre-offer inspection or something along those lines.
I agree.
Yeah. And then sellers, you still have to be willing to, if you want to compete against other sellers, 97% of sellers on these contracts, and we're always between 97 and 99% of the sellers are offering buyer agent compensation. So you may think that you don't have to, and it is fully negotiable, but if you opt out of it, you are competing negatively against 97% of the other sellers out there.
You're limiting the offer price a buyer can give you, because if they only have so much money, and if you cover their buyer compensation, their buyer broker compensation, then they can max out their budget, right? If another 2 to 3%
on top of their
that's
closing
a lot
costs,
that if they have to come out of pocket to pay their brokerage, then that's money they can't give you for your house.
Yeah, especially, actually, that's money they can't give you for the house, and it will actually prevent them from offering on your house because they won't be able to pay the agent, and they're under a contractual obligation to pay that agent. And there's going to be another seller, 97% of them, that will pay that compensation. So you're going to be steering buyers to those other properties.
Right,
yep.
That's true.
Okay, so what does this mean overall? Buyers, it's all about being strategic with each property. You are going to have to compete on some. Some you're going to be able to get at asking price, even if it's brand new, but you have to understand that's an accurate asking price. And then you just have to know each individual property.
Your agent has to know the market.
That's exactly right.
All the pockets, and seller stage, presentation, price right. Get with an agent who knows what they're doing, knows the appropriate strategies for your buyer pool, because it's different.
Yeah.
And just listen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, don't not get what you need.
Yeah.
But you have to listen to their strategy on getting you what you need.
If they're giving you a sound strategy and they have proven track record, then you're going to get what you want, because this is a seller's market. But if you go against the strategy, you will end up sitting. You will end up getting below asking offer price if you get any offers. So, and we've seen clients lose in $1.3 million properties over a $6,000 difference because of
we have a listing that we've had. I think Jesus was the first person to put an offer on it, and it was about $100,000 under ask. And they were not going to take it. They knew they could get a certain amount.
Yeah.
And fast forward 26 years later, Now they have since
Lowered
lowered
the
the listing
price.
price to way below that.
Yes.
And buyers are offering less than that
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And it's still listed.
And these are made up numbers, but the actual situation did
It wasn't
happen.
really Jesus.
And it wasn't really $100,000 under, but they are literally listed for a large percentage under what that previous offer was, and they're still getting lower offers.
Okay, so some of you agents out there, you do your business in a way, it's like, why do you still have that listing? Well, these people are really great. I mean,
They are awesome. Yeah, we love working with them. Yeah. Okay, and we're gonna help them reach their goals. It's our job to help you reach your goals, no matter how long it takes. All right. If you would like to get with us, either buy side or sell side, just to talk about your situation, we'd be happy to do that.
or
and what's
lending advice
or lending or insurance.
insurance.
Yes. All right.
Okay,
All right.
703-783-2143.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.